Believe, and you're here in the office of the Always Believe House. Oh, today we're going to have F-U-N, fun, because we're going to solve quadratics by completing the square. Oh, ho, ho, ho. So a magical whiteboard appears, and let's start rocking and rolling. This is real steppy, and I did not give you any notes on this, so we're going to do several of these together, and then you'll be on your own. You'll be able to get these. Pretty simple in Algebra 1 because there will be no number in front of the x squared when we do this. In Algebra 2, it's going to be a little bit more steppy. Okay, so let's start on number 1. What we want to do is solve this equation by completing the square. When we solve it, we're getting the zeros. We're getting the x-intercepts of the parabola. Okay, so the first step is to move the constant term to the right. So I'm going to take the 20 and move it over, and I'm going to put a plus 20, and then I'm going to have k squared plus 16k, skip a spot, equals 17. Okay, everyone with me? So I'm going to move the constant term to the right, and I'm going to have the x squared and the x term on the left. So basically I have the ax squared plus bx on the left, I have the c on the right. Does that make sense? Now then, you're going to take this number and divide it by 2. You would get 8, and then you're going to square it. That's why they call this completing the square. Okay, so you take this number, the b term, you write it over, divide it by 2, and square it. 8 times 8 is 64. I'm going to add the 64 to both sides. You may want to put a plus over here too, okay? Now then, when you do this, this turns into a perfect square quadratic. So the square root of k squared is k. The square root of 64 is 8. And it's going to be k plus 8 squared. Equals 17 plus 64 is 81. Now then, to get rid of that second power, I'm going to square root both sides. So if I square root both sides, that x squared, or the exponent, goes away. I'm going to get k plus 8 equals a positive or a negative 9. Remember, when you do the zeros, you're going to get two different zeros, right? Now then, I'm going to subtract 8. So I need to do plus 9 minus 8 and minus 9 minus 8. And I will get 1 and negative 17. Those are my zeros. So my zeros are going to be k equals 1 and negative 17. That's where the quadratic equation will go through the x-axis. Y'all are like, huh? Don't worry about it. We're going to do like 3 or 4 of these, and you're going to get it down, okay? Now then, the next thing I want you to do is to take this equation right here and write it over here. K plus 8 squared equals 81. Move the 81 to the left. I'm going to get k plus 8 squared minus 81 equals 0. The vertex would be negative 8 comma negative 81. Okay? So when you complete the square, you can get the vertex form of the equation. So I know that this is my vertex and these are my zeros. I can easily graph that equation, okay? Let's go down. I'm just going to go down the page with you. Number 3, okay? So number 3, I'm going to take this negative 1 and move it to the right. The opposite of a negative 1 is a positive 1. I'm going to get n squared minus 6n, skip a space, equals 7. Draw 2 blanks. Now then, you're going to take the negative 6, divide it by 2, get negative 3, and square it. Even if it's a negative, when you do negative 3 times negative 3, you're going to get a positive, aren't you? So I'm going to have plus 9. Okay? So I'm going to put plus 9 on both sides. Now then, I'm going to go through here and complete the square. So the square root of n squared is n. The square root of 9 is a minus 3 because that negative is going to drop squared, equals 7 plus 9 is 16. So when you complete the square, when you do b divided by 2 and square it, you're creating a perfect square, aren't you? Okay? Now then, I'm going to square root both of these, and I'm going to get n minus 3 equals a plus or minus 4. Now then, I need to get 2 answers. So n is going to equal, I'm going to move the 3 over, plus 3 minus 4 and a plus 3 plus 4, right? So n is going to end up equaling to a negative 1 and a positive 7. That's the zeros. That's the x-intercepts. Those are the zeros, okay? Now then, let's go over here and take this equation and write it over here. So n minus 3 squared equals 16. Move the 16 to the left. N minus 3 squared minus 16 equals 0. And then you're going to get your vertex. Your vertex is going to be 3 comma negative 16. So notice I have my vertex and my 2 zeros, don't I? I have my vertex and my 2 zeros. Do this 2 more times. You'll get the hang of it. So you're going to get the ax squared plus bx on the left. Move the c to the right. Take that b term, divide it by 2 and square it. And then you get a perfect square. You square root and you solve for your 2 zeros. So let's go to the next one. Okay, the first step is to take that 24 and move it over. So I'm going to get p squared plus 12p, skip a spot equals negative 16, skip a spot. Okay? Now then, the next step is to take the 12, divide it by 2, get 6, and square it. That's 36 in it. So I'm going to add 36 to both sides. Now then, the part on the left will factor to a perfect square. So the square root of p squared is p, the square root of 36 is 6, and the plus drops. Equals 36 minus 16. Notice this is not going to work, is it? It's going to be 20. Now then, square root both sides. So I'm going to get p plus 6 equals, put this down, plus or minus square root of 20. Now then, move over the 6. P equals negative 6 plus or minus the square root of 20. These are going to be your 2 zeros. On your test, they may leave it like this because this is exact, okay? Let's punch this in the calculator. So I'm going to go to the home, go to calculate, and I want to punch in, sorry about that, negative 6 plus the square root of 20. So negative 6 plus this control x squared, 20, Jiminy Crickets, 20, and then hit enter, and I'm going to get a big decimal. Let's round this to the 100th. So we're going to round the 2 to a 3, won't we? Because the 7 is going to make it up, make it go up. So negative 1.53. So I'm going to go back to here. I'm going to write down p equals negative 1.53 and go back to your calculator, type in the same thing but do minus. So negative 6 minus control x squared 20. Hit enter and you get this, negative 10.47. We're going to round the 7 and the 2 won't make the 7 go to 8, will it? So negative 10.47. And put negative 10.47. So this right here would be the zeros, would it? That's, if you trace this parabola, that's what it would say when it says 0. It would have that decimal down there, okay? We've all traced those and found the decimals on that. Now then, take this equation and write it up here. P plus 6 squared equals 20. Move over the 20. P plus 6 squared minus 20 equals 0. My vertex is going to be negative 6 comma negative 20. So I know my vertex and my 2 zeros from this in it. Everyone get what we're doing. We're going to do one more together, okay? This would be my vertex. Those would be my zeros. Let's do one more together. Oh, F-U-N, fun, fun, fun. First step is to move the negative 10 over, right? I'm going to plus 10. So I'm going to get b squared plus 4b, draw blank, equals 12, draw blank. I'm going to take the b term, which is 4, divide by 2 and square it, right? So put 4 divided by 2 over here, you get 2. Square that, and you're going to get a plus 4, aren't you? So plus 4 plus 4. Now then, these are both perfect squares, aren't they? So I'm going to get b and 2, and put the plus in the middle, equals 16. This one didn't work. I was wanting to do one more irrational, okay? Now then, square root both sides. And I can get the square root of 16, can't I? So I'm going to get b plus 2 equals plus or minus 4. Now then I'm going to move the 2 over. So my b is going to equal to negative 2 plus 4 and negative 2 minus 4. So I'm just going to do it in my brain. Negative 2 plus 4 is 2. And negative 2 minus 4 is a negative 6. Those are my zeros. Now then write this equation over here. B plus 2 squared equals 16. Move the 16 over. B plus 2 squared minus 16 equals 0. My vertex will be negative 2, negative 16, won't it? Ho, 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 ho. F-U-N, fun, fun, fun. Do one more with you. Try to get one that doesn't work here. Let me see if this one works. So that's going to be negative 18 plus 25. Okay, this one won't work. So I'm going to do number 9 with you, okay? Because this is another irrational root. Hopefully it is. Negative 18 plus 25. Yeah, it won't work. Okay, so we're going to move the 13 over. So we're going to have r squared minus 10r equals negative 18. Draw 2 blanks. Now then we're going to take the negative 10, divide it by 2, get negative 5. But when we square the negative 25, we're still going to plus. You will always add on this next step. So we're going to put plus 25 plus 25. Now then, these are both perfect squares, right? So draw parentheses, r and 5, the negative drop studded, equals 7. The reason why I did this one is you can't get the square root of 7, can you? So we're going to square root both sides. On the left side, the second power goes away, so I'm going to have r minus 5 equals the square root of 7 and put plus or minus. Now then, move over the 5. When you move the 5 over, it turns into a positive 5. So r equals a positive 5 plus or minus the square root of 7. That's how it could be written. Those are the exact values of the roots. Now then, let's go to the calculator and do 5 plus, or not 5 times, 5 plus control x squared, 7, 5, Jiminy crickets, 7. So 5 plus the square root of 7, hit enter, and it's going to be 7.6. We're going to take the 4 and round it to 5, right? So 7.65. So we're going to go to here, and we're going to say r equals 7.65, and now we're going to do 5 minus the square root of 7. So I'm going to go to here, 5 minus control x squared, 7, hit enter, and I get 2.35. The 5 won't go up to 6, will it? So 2.35. This right here are the zeros. That is where the parabola will cross the x-axis. Now then, I'm going to take this equation, rewrite it. R minus 5 squared equals 7. Move over the 7. R minus 5 squared minus 7 equals 0. My vertex is at 5, negative 7. Remember, your h is going to flip when you take it out of the vertex form, right? So this is how you change the standard form to vertex form. You move over the c and complete the square, okay? Try to go through, do the evens, okay? I think I will post the key to this so you can check and make sure your answers are correct. Make sure you're doing the problems. The next test is going to be hard because we're going to be finding the zeros, okay? Not going to be much more definition. It's going to be a lot more math. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. Remember, you are amazing. You are created to do wonderful things, and you are awesome.